Hi friends, I'm Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. I thought the intro song was ending there, but I was a little early. I'm just too excited to hang out with you beautiful bastards. Welcome to Sunday Sunday Q&A? Sure, why not? We're gonna fly the Fractal 65 build around a bunch. Those of you that follow me on Instagram might have caught a stream that I did yesterday where I spent like a half an hour trying to get the flux paste out of the motors that I put onto this thing. Man, what a nightmare. Hey, if you're gonna switch your motor leads, if you're gonna solder on these tiny whoop motors and like change your motor leads from NewBeeDrone to JST 1.25 or vice versa, be really careful with solder paste. Don't put too much on there. If you put too much on there, it's going to flow all over the stator base, and it can very easily get into the bearing and into the washers and into the C-clip. And these tiny little motors don't have enough power to overcome like that solder paste goop getting all up in there. And that's what I kind of ran into here. So yeah. Careful. It's probably a better idea to use a solder pen because that's a little bit more liquidy and it's not going to build up as much. But to be honest, just whatever you've got for flux. Did I say solder pen? I meant to say flux pen. Yeah, regardless, just use as little flux as you possibly can if you're soldering to these little tiny motors. These particular motors have been bounced around and they've been soldered to at least 3 times, maybe 5, maybe 6 times. So if this was going to happen to any motor, these were the ones that it was going to happen to. So most of you guys are not going to be in that scenario. Most of you guys are not going to desolder the JST 1.25s and then put on a pair of regular old 30 gauge leads in order to solder them up to a Happy Model diamond board and then take them off the diamond board. So remove those and then put the NewBeeDrone connectors on and then remove those and go all the way back to JST 1.25s. So yeah, kind of a fringe case, but if you've got a tiny whoop motor that you've soldered to a bunch and you go like this and it feels like there's more resistance than there should be, that might be your problem. The way that I fixed this problem was with a toothbrush and rubbing alcohol. I popped the motors off and just put rubbing alcohol on the toothbrush and just scrubbed the shit out of the bottom of them. That worked totally fine. I did that once. That worked totally fine on one of the motors, but 3 of the other motors, I had to hit them 2 more times, and then 2 of those motors I had to continue to dump rubbing alcohol into. I just got frustrated, so I just started to put rubbing alcohol on the tip of this and then just dab it into the motor as it was bolted to the frame yesterday, and then just I just spun the shit out of the motor. And after doing that a bunch of times, now all 4 of these motors are spinning nice and freely. Here's one of the ways that you can tell that it spins very freely. Just listen. Just listen. Ready? You hear the brrr, like the really rapid fire brrr? That is the notchiness of the magnets pushing against, like bouncing back against my fingernail. If the motor is spinning freely, you'll hear that because basically there will be so little resistance on the motor. So my hand is the propeller and this is my fingernail. There will be so little resistance that you will push it past one of the notches and it will bounce away from your fingernail, and then your fingernail will catch up with it. If it's able to do that, if it's able to make that noise against your fingernail, that means that the motors are not gummed up at all. You know what I'm saying? Because they're free enough to move away from you. Thurberg 2500 says, now there is no lube on the bushings. That is true. Although all of these motors come with no lube on the bushings. I go back and forth whether or not it's a good idea to add lube to these tiny whoop bushings. If you didn't know, these little tiny motors, 0802s, 0702s, they come with bushings and not bearings. And yeah, over the years, I have played around with using really thin lube on these tiny little motors. Initially, it makes them run better, but the problem with it is that the lube attracts dirt. It would be a better idea to use like a dry lube, like a cycling or like a mountain biking lube. You know, mountain bikers run into this issue because they've got the chain around the sprockets and they want to lube that chain up, but then they go smash through dirt and dust and shit, right? So yeah, a dry lube, which is what those fellas use, would be the best case. But yeah, I don't know. The motors run totally fine dry on the bushings. There is a little bit of an air gap between the motor shaft and the bushing. And yeah, they're completely fine running dry. That's how they come out of the box. I don't know. I've experimented with it, and I've never really had a scenario where I'm like, yeah, this is way, way, way better, and it's not getting disgustingly dirty. So for me, much like with all things in life, I'm going in dry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. To anyone that's offended by that. If you're offended by that, you should probably leave now, because it's only going to get worse. Shirt of the day! This is my full-time job. Head on over to CiottiFPV.com and click every single button, or I will come to your house and burn it down. Patreon helps me out the most. This is where you can get the most possible benefits for your few dollars. $3 will get you on board. It makes a huge difference for me. $5 and up will put you onto at least 2 giveaways per month, up to 6 giveaways per month every single month. I've been doing this for well over a year. Over on Etsy, I've got some really fun stickers and some random hardware that might help you during your builds. Over on Fiverr, you can work directly with me one-on-one. I've been in the FPV world for over 6 years. I've accumulated an awful lot of info. If you want a huge jumpstart on just knowing a ton of stuff, I can work with you one-on-one. We can do a half an hour, we can do an hour, whatever you want. And we sit down, you can rapid fire me as many questions as you want. Or I can work you through some like kind of almost curriculums that I've got surrounding flight instruction to help you fly better, tuning to help you tune better, and just to get your rigs tuned, and build planning so that you stop building stuff with just the newest parts that are available, because the newest parts somehow are always the best parts ever, even though they really aren't. Yeah, let my pain and tears and frustration benefit you. I guarantee you will pay a lot less money getting a shitload of info from me than you will buying the wrong parts, buying ESCs that catch on fire, frames that don't fit your needs properly, motors that are just not right for you, and stuff like that. Cool? Teespring for some fun shirts and some apparel. There's an awesome Kill All carbon tote bag over there. That is my favorite thing on Teespring. If you're anything like me, you've always got like 1 or 2 extra things that don't fit in your flight bag. Stop bringing random bags from around the house and looking like a noob. Get yourself a CiottiFPV Kill All carbon bag. It's also a great spot to put your broken carbon in so you don't get splinters all over the place. PayPal, if you want to support me directly. Super chats are great, but YouTube and Google take 30%. So if you want that to not happen, you can just use PayPal and then type at CiottiFPV into the chat. Yo, check your PayPal, and I'll give you your shout out. And then look at all these affiliate links, yo. If you're going to do an order on the internet, you might as well see if there's an affiliate link from one of your favorite content creators to that website. We Bleed FPV, NewBeeDrone, FPV Cycle, Amazon, Get FPV, Oh My God, HD0, Flywoo, Emacs, Banggood, Camera Butter, and AliExpress are all cool enough to let me into their affiliate programs. So yeah, if you want to replace your bookmarks with these affiliate links, then you don't even have to think about it. Or if you're like me and you just go to your URL bar and type like AMA for Amazon, what you can do is over here on the right, if the very first suggestion is just like regular old Amazon.com, you can just click this little X here to remove the suggestion as it says there. And then once you've removed this section, if you click my affiliate link a couple times, Chrome will think that my affiliate link is the Amazon link that you want to go to the most often. And then you can do the same thing with Get FPV. Type Oh My God, UMMA. And you can just replace all of your suggestions with my affiliate links, and then again, you don't even need to think about it. You don't need to go to CiottiFPV.com before you order. And yeah, your life will get 10,000 times better because I'll be able to get health insurance finally this year. There's some other fun stuff on the website that you might get a kick out of. The BattleBots info link, a lot of people find absolutely hysterical. FPV Therapy is a Facebook group that we've got for those of us who fly FPV but also struggle with mental illness. It is not a spot to drop your flight edits. They will be deleted. It is a spot to talk about therapy and mental illness and try to feel better. If you are one of the lucky folks that do not have mental illness, you might still want to come by and learn a little something, because 1 in 5 or so people struggle with it. And yeah, you probably know more than 5 people. So you probably know somebody that's struggling, and goddamn, they're not going to tell you about it because that's just sort of the way it is. One of the things that mental illness does a really good job of is convince you that you're all alone and that you should not talk about it because you already feel like a burden. So yeah, it's hard to find out, like, over the course of your life, if you actually start talking about it with people, you will be shocked to find how many people you know have anxiety or depression or OCD or trauma or PTSD or any of the other wonderful things that we all struggle through every single day. So check it out, learn a little something. If you really want to dive into it, Healthy Gamer GG here on YouTube is the best resource that I have ever found. I've been going to talk therapy on and off for 15 plus years. And yeah, it's great. But Healthy Gamer is run by Dr. K, who is, I think still the only gaming addiction specialist here in the U.S. He's certainly the only gaming addiction Harvard professor, or just professor in general. And just the way that he kind of explains things, and he's also our age. We have a real problem with therapy in general in this country, where they're older, they're boomers basically, and they just don't understand some stuff about our generation and especially the younger generations. So yeah, Healthy Gamer is an incredible resource, and it's completely free, right? Like talk therapy, one of the big barriers to entry is the cost. I go once a month and I pay over $140. It's worth it because I'm still alive. But yeah, there's a hell of a barrier to entry. Even if you have health insurance, it can still be 20, 25, 30 bucks per session, which some people just don't have. So yeah, Healthy Gamer GG here on YouTube is free of charge. And if you're willing to do the work, and that's you got to be willing to do the work. It's not just like, you can try just taking pills, but realistically, you're going to have to do a little bit of work. You're going to have to get a little bit interested in it. You're going to have to spend some time. You're going to have to dig deep. You're going to want to develop a meditation practice, or maybe even a yoga practice, or hopefully both. So yeah, you got to put some work in. It's not a free ride, but it's worth it. I promise you. So do it. Northern Tier FPV with a $50 super chat. Thank you so much, dude. Holy hell. He says, send me a .9999999 drill bit. Keep the change. I will indeed. What Northern Tier is talking about is I have a little container of .99 millimeter drill bits. This is a big deal. NewBeeDrone propellers, GemFan 3 and 4 blade propellers, and HQ propellers for tiny whoops are all bad. They're all, the inner diameter is it's too small on all of those propellers. And this drill bit will drill those out to be the absolute perfect inner diameter, where they are big enough, but not too big to the point where they fall off the propellers. So you need one of these, yo. Get a .99 millimeter drill bit. If you want to get it from me, it's $5, but you have to buy it with a sticker or 2 or 3. For $10, I will send you a Gangly Gang sticker in either holographic or matte, as well as one of these drill bits. For $15, you can get an entire sticker pack, as well as one of the drill bits. Hey, Northern Tier, I'm gonna forget. Can you shoot me a message and just remind me? Say, yo, Ciotti, I did a super chat. Send me a thing and let me know what you're getting, a sticker pack, whether you like it or not, Northern Tier. Let me know which sticker pack you want. There's 2 different sticker packs, same kind of thing, matte or holographic. This is the matte pack. You're gonna get a matte CiottiFPV sticker. You're gonna get a matte Gangly Gang sticker like you just saw, and you're gonna get a matte Micro King sticker. There's also the holographic pack, which comes with, you guessed it, a holographic CiottiFPV sticker. Woo! Holographic Gangly Gang sticker, and a window cling. This is not a sticker. This is a window cling, and it's gloss. You can put this on the inside or the outside of a window. So yeah, $15 for a sticker pack, $10 for a Gangly Gang sticker, or any of the individual stickers. If there's another individual sticker that you see on my Etsy store or you've seen me show, and you want me to swap that in, I'll absolutely do that, as well as a .99 millimeter drill bit. All right, chat, what's happening? Apache Smoke Wounded Sniper was first. Speaking of Apache Smoke Wounded Sniper, him and Dadbod are doing timestamps on all of these live streams. Apache Smoke is doing all the live streams moving forward. Quadbot is actually going back in time and doing a whole bunch of previous live streams. He's already into 2022. So huge shout out to those guys. They're doing such a good job. If you guys want to join in on that, that's awesome. If you're ever watching one of my live streams and something funny or really informative happens, just drop a comment. In the comment, put the timestamp. It's digit, colon, digit, colon, digit, right? Like, So like 01 for 1 hour in, 52 for 52 minutes in, 47 for 47 seconds in. Drop a timestamp and just put like a little description of it, and I will copy and paste that into the description, and your favorite moment in the live stream will live on forever as a broken up part of the live stream. So yeah, huge shout out to Apache and Quadbod. I think I said Dadbod a minute ago. Quadbod, rather. Oh my god. Well, you know, you win some, you lose some. Yeah, huge shout out to them for working through these live streams and doing those time codes. It just makes it infinitely easier for folks to find the info. And it's also really good for SEO. At some point, like, you'll do a Google search and it'll find one of those timestamps and it'll link you to one of my live streams, and that'll be pretty cool. When that happens, send me a screenshot of that, because that's pretty slick. Apache Smoke Wounded Sniper was first in the chat. Bob Bruce was next. Mr. Blue Sky, Danzilla the Terrible, Riot 9, Bulldog, 8-Bit, Espander, Aaron, Rockcrawler, Titan, Frank Nicholas, Danzilla, Brandon's Baked Beans, Robert Rosser, Northern Tier again, Danzilla the Terrible again, Recyclops, Riot 9 again, Marcel off Axis FPV, AJ, Brandon's Baked Beans, Flush FPV, Naste, is that Nasty? I think it's Nasty FPV. Denzel, GJP, Freelojo, Aircon, Stevie, CMYK has arrived, Thurberg, Robert Rosser again, Julian Dan, sorting through the repeats here, 8-Bit, MU, Bobby Bags, Rockcrawler. I'm going to leave it there. If you want the Gangly Man to say your name, you got to come into the chat early and say, hey. If you want to talk directly to me, all you got to do is type CiottiFPV, and it'll light up an orange, and I'll know that you're speaking directly to me. You can do that to each other. If you type somebody's name in, you spell it right, and get the spaces in the right spots, it'll light up an orange for them and them alone. Apache Smoke says, what's up, Ciotti? How you doing? Hello, Gangly Gang. How's everybody doing this cold, windy Sunday? Yo, it's gorgeous here in Atlanta. I got to be honest. It was supposed to be rainy today, but it is just beautiful out. Bob Bruce says, what's up, Gangly Gang? How's everyone? Bulldog says, what's up, everyone? CiottiFPV, how you doing? Denzel the Terrible says, would it be better to use liquid on that? I think so, Dan. Dan's talking about the soldering the tiny whoop, soldering to the tiny whoop motors. I think a flux pen would be a better idea, although maybe not, because the liquid flux pen solder would want to flow all over the place too. So yeah, I don't know. Here's what I'll say. I've never had this problem before. So I think it was a pretty isolated incident with these motors that I've soldered to over and over and over and over and over again. So yeah, I think it was a pretty isolated kind of thing. But hey, now you guys know about it, and you know to just kind of, you know, spin your tiny whoop propellers. If you've soldered to tiny whoop motors and you've used flux, just do this little test and make sure that they're spinning nice and freely, and you'll be good to go. The reason why the flux pen liquid flux might not be better is that it's just gonna flow. Like with these tiny whoop motors, I believe what the problem is that you've got the stator base and then you've got a PCB here, and that the PCB is what you're soldering to, and there's a gap, there's a very small gap in between those two. So as soon as you put flux on that PCB, as soon as that flux flows, it's going to go in between the PCB and the stator base, and then maybe it's just going to keep moving around. I feel like with these motors, I've gotten them hot over and over and over again, and that has made that flux just kind of move all around, and eventually it got in between the bushing and the motor shaft. Although I think it mainly got between the washers and the stator base, because if it had gotten between the motor shaft and the bushing, I don't think I would have been able to clean it out, because I didn't take any of these motors apart. I was just scrubbing the bottom where the washers are. So, yeah, I don't know. But it's a pretty easy thing to kind of diagnose. Like, you'll know it. The motors wouldn't spin. Like, you would arm the quad and the motors just wouldn't spin. They would just, like, real slow. And then you'd spin them with your finger, and it was, like, very, very obvious that they were all gummed up. So, I think it's a pretty... I think it's a pretty isolated incident, but yeah, I don't know. If anybody else runs into it, let me know. I'd be interested to hear from you. Bobby Bag says, yo, what's up, Peeps and CiottiFPV Sunday Fun Day. Marcel Off Access dropping the CiottiFPV.com link. Thank you, dude. Titan says, if I live outside the US, can I still win giveaways? Or, so here's the deal, Titan. I have had a worse than 50% success rate with mailing things outside of the US. When folks that live outside of the US win the giveaways, I message them and I say, hey, I can either mail you this stuff and there's a worse than 50-50 chance that it won't get to you, and then that's it, or I can just PayPal you the value of these items and then you can buy whatever you want. So yeah, but yeah, so that's it. That's the situation. I always give folks the option. I really prefer not to ship outside of the US because shit just disappears, and that's just a complete and total waste. So, but yeah, if you ever do win and you are outside the US, I will always give you that option. And I always hope that folks take that option. William Loach says, what GoPro do you run on 5-inch? I can't decide which to get because it'll break, because I'll break it one day, Hero 10 or 11 with insurance, or try to grab a used Session 5. It's a really good question, William. I've kind of fly them all. I have a bunch of Session 5s. I have a Hero 8 and I have a Hero 10. If you're going to fly freestyle, the Session 5 is really, like, I think the Session 5 is still my go-to. Yes, you're not going to get any, no, you're not going to get any warranty or anything like that on them, but they are so tough that I have found even spending like $150+ on a Session 5 on eBay, it lasts, it's so much more durable, and it lasts for, I'm cutting the ducts out of one of these frames, by the way. That's what I'm doing off camera. I've found that the Session 5 is so much more durable that it's cheaper to run than a Hero 10 or 9 or 8 or 7 or 6 with Best Buy's protection plan. The Best Buy protection plan is going to cost you $30 to $40 every single time you break your Hero. And the Heroes are going to break a lot. There was a couple of month period where I ran for freestyle a Hero 7 and then a Hero 8. And I was breaking those pretty much every single time I went out and flew. And I ended up going through 6 or 7 of them. And so when you multiply 6 or 7 times $30 to $40, not only that, but I started to fly like really reserved because I knew that if I crashed, the Hero was going to explode. And they're also a lot heavier. The Session is nice and lightweight. So yeah, I'm still all about the Session. The DJI Action 2 is interesting. I don't like the way the video from it looks. I think it's way too wide of an angle and there's way too much fisheye. So yeah, but some people like that. I think those people need to have their head checked, but that's just me. What does my opinion matter in the grand scheme of things? So yeah, that's kind of my take on it. The Heroes are going to give you a much better video quality, obviously. Love you.
Love you.
But it really depends. Like, what are you going to be doing? Are you going to do more? I think it depends on how often you're going to crash. If you're going to crash a lot into hard objects, Session 5, or to be really honest, today, an O3 air unit build with no external HD camera, you're going to have props in view, so you have to be okay with that. But yeah, for a basher, oh man, that is a hell of a setup. It's going to be lightweight. It's going to crash really well. You can go with a really lightweight frame like the Glide, because you're not going to have the extra 100+ grams of HD camera on top, so it's going to crash a lot better. Yeah, a DJI 03 build is a really interesting bashing setup in 2023. What you doing?
Taking my car key.
Oh, they're in the elbow rest.
I know. I'm just gonna take yours for now. Oh, it's in my car.
Yes.
Oh. Oh.
Did you guys hear that? If you ever want to steal Maggie's car.
Love you.
She closed my door. Hold on. I gotta go open that door because we're gonna be flying. Do me a favor and don't steal Maggie's car. Oh boy. Like, she leaves them in view. I at least like hide them. So yeah, there you go, William. That's a really good question. It's not like a one size fits all question. If you're not gonna crash very often or you're gonna do cinematic stuff, it's a GoPro Hero for sure. The newest one that you can afford. You know, the 11 is better than the 10, 10's better than the 9, 9's better than the 8. The 8 is a pretty damn good camera, and it's significantly lighter than the 9, 10, and 11. But yeah, there is a definite, every single one they make is a little bit better. Go figure. So yeah, bunch of different options for you. Or nowadays there's even the 11 mini, which is basically the same weight as the Hero 8, but the sensor and all the good gubbins of the 11. So yeah, a lot of different options. Once I break my Hero 8, it will be replaced by an 11 mini. And then once I break my 10, it will be replaced by another 11 mini. Where the hell did that just go? Ooh! This duct fell on the floor and just vanished. Just absolutely vanished. There it is. I found it. I am cutting these Mobula 7 V4 ducts off of here because eventually we will be building a Fractal 75 with them. But we'll talk more about that not right now. Off-axis FPV dropping the Patreon link. Thank you, dude. Northern Tier, $50 super chat. Good Lord. Thanks again, brother. McConnell Studios says, not a drill bit, PayPal. Where is my email? Matthew McConnell with a $75 super chat. He's PayPal. He says, don't need a drill bit. Sure you do. Do you really? You need a .99 mil drill bit, don't you? Don't you? McConnell Studios, thank you so much. Guys, check out McConnell Studios on Instagram. I would probably not be sitting here without their incredible support. And their Instagram is just filled with, like, amazing sculptures that you're going to love. So check them out. McConnell Studios over on Livestream. You're going to love it. There was something in my email that... Oh, no, there it is. Okay, yeah, Carlos got back to me. Okay, good. Northern Tier says, holographic Gangly Gang sticker pack. Awesome. I'm going to put that aside right now. So we've got this, we've got this, we've got this. There's only one of these holographic sticker packs left, friends. Act now! Or you'll miss it. And then you'll be sad. Yeah, man, .99. I mean, I just bought these off Amazon. You can get them off Amazon, but you can't just get one. You get a 10-pack, and you'll never use the other 9. All right. And we've got a little bit of Northern Tier. I'm just going to write that down on the envelope, and then I'll look you up on Patreon. Your address up on Patreon. Northern Tier. Man, that I don't know if I'm going to be able to read that. Yeah, I'll be able to read that. That looks like an N, kind of. Thank you, brother. Super, super, super cool of you. And look at the forethought that your gangly buddy CiottiFPV's got. I shipped a couple of these out, and I remembered to put the drill bit in a little plastic bag so that it doesn't scratch the shit out of the stickers. I I have my moments, man. I have my moments. And bloop, there it is. Drill bit. Drill bit Taylor, yo. In your face. I'm gonna keep chopping away at this Mobula 7 V4 frame. D'Angelo Terrible says, oh, wait, hold on. Before I forget, I probably won't forget, but before I forget, over on Joshua's stream, he noticed this awesomeness. This is, to me, this is a big deal. I've already messaged Brain 3D about them possibly doing this in the future, but what I need to figure out is this PS3 profile spacer specific to Quadmula, or is this a piece that we can get just on the internet? This right here is a washer spacer jibby jabby that prevents the 3D printed TPU from being like this squish point. So with this little washer jibby jabby, you can fully tighten down your top 4 screws on your top plate without, I mean, you just can't do that any other way because you'll push right through the TPU. Or even if you run a regular washer, which is what I do, I run a big fat washer, and I can crank these down pretty good, but with this setup, you can crank them all the way down. And that's kind of a big deal because, like, I've broken a bunch of those front 4 screws. It doesn't happen often, but it absolutely happens. I've broken a bunch of them, and I've never broken any of the screws on the bottom. And what that means is that not being able to fully tighten those screws is basically allowing them to bend and shift with the box part of the school bus frame and break. So yeah, this little Quadmula PS3 profile spacer is pretty awesome. I'm just very curious. So first person to find this damn thing on the internet gets nothing. But yeah, it's for M3 screws here. I wouldn't be surprised if Quadmula or Mula had this manufactured, because like it's got to be just the right thickness. It's got to be the exact right thickness here of the 3D printed TPU, and then I guess that's about it. But this is awesome, man. I really, really, really love this little piece. They do sell this. Like you can just buy. Where the hell are they? Here it is. Here it is. Yeah, PS2? Is this M2? This is M2. Oh, they sell it in M2 as well. Quadmula. Way to go. Yeah, so they just sell them. So, I mean, I'll just buy a bunch of them. Here it is in M3 with the screws. But yeah, it would be nice if this was available elsewhere on the internet. Do they mention it? PS3 or profile spacer is made of 7075 aluminum alloy. It can fix TPU parts on carbon fireplace perfectly, reduce variable of PID tuning. I don't know about that, but also can avoid crushing the TPU parts. That's for sure. We designed PS3 to fix 3. Okay, so it's probably just them. But you don't need many of them, right? And like $4.50, yeah, it's a little expensive. It's for 5 of them. So, I mean, $4.50 per rig. I mean, that's not the end of the world. But, yeah, this is awesome. I'm going to be getting these for sure. And I already messaged, like I said, Brain 3D, and I said, hey, you think you'd be willing to open up the holes in your mounts for use with these things? Could be a cool marketing opportunity, blah, 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 bling, blang, blong. And I haven't heard back from Brian yet, but he probably will be. All that being said, you can probably still use these on a regular 3D print mount. Just jam it in there, right? Like TPU is pretty malleable and stretchy. So you could probably use these with all of the existing 3D printed mounts that you've got. My concern would be that you stretch that out and then you're like, yeah, the TPU might want to rip. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna order some of these and I'm gonna try it. So I'll let you know how much it stretches the TPU. But yeah, man, this is great. This is the solution to one of the few like actual problems that are left with 5-inch frames. Like at this point, 5-inch frames are approaching like just kind of being perfect and just like, yeah, okay, these look different, but they all are very similar in terms of vibration characteristics, strength, motor protection, yada yada yada. So this is really cool. This has not been like a huge problem, but this has been a problem. There's just been no way to crank down those front 4 top screws, and that's not good. Like it's not good really being able to blast them down to really stiffen up that front portion of the frame. So yeah, this is rad. This is like actual innovation. Which is kind of rare in the world of 5-inch over the last couple of years. Denzel the Turbo says, CiottiFPV or anyone have a recommendation for an AIO for 3 to 3.5 inch build? ELR is preferred but not necessary. You're probably not going to find an AIO that's properly suited for a 3 or 3.5 inch build, i.e. one that has enough the FETs that are high enough amp rating that also has ELRS built in. The AIOs with ELRS built in are mainly for tiny whoops. Acon makes 2 AIOs. The cheaper one is apparently the one that you want. The more expensive one, when we were talking about a bunch of streams ago, 1 or 2 people said they'd seen some really nasty reviews about them blowing up. So yeah, Acon makes an AIO, and that is the only AIO that I would ever spend any money on. I hate AIOs, and you should too. But if anybody's going to make an AIO that's going to not catch on fire, it's going to be Acon. I actually have that AIO in my 250, and I haven't put a ton of batteries through it because I put it in right before the weather got cold. But it has survived the batteries that I have put through it. And it doesn't do anything weird, which is kind of rare with AIOs. They tend to be just like, I don't know, from the moment I put them up in the air, there's always like some weird shit going on with them. And it's been completely fine. So yeah, I would definitely go with the less expensive Acon AIO. I've only seen the more expensive Acon AIO, I think, on Pyro drones. So if you're able to find an Acon all-in-one, it's probably the right one. But yeah, the more expensive one that some folks saw some complaints about, it's got a separate daughter board. Like you'll be able to tell the difference because it's got like the AIO, but then there's a separate daughter board in the middle of it. And it's actually a really good idea. What they did is they let the main part of the AIO have all the noisy electronical components. And then the daughter board that's on top has the gyro and all the other sensitive components. So it's a really, really, really good idea, but it looks like they missed the mark somewhere in terms of quality control or like reliability or God knows what else. Or the people that have left the bad reviews about it just don't know how to build. That's always an option, right? Like it's really tough to get good educated reviews of FPV components because there's a lot of new people in the hobby, and the new people in the hobby don't build well. Why would they? They're new. And when you don't build something well, even if it's good, sometimes it can blow up or not perform properly or whatever. So yeah, you need to take a lot of stuff with you need to take a lot of reviews with a grain of salt, and you got to really look for the reviews from people that have been around a long time and actually know what they're talking about. So, you know, whenever you see a review that uses the word like best or ever or anything like that, be very wary, because the folks that have been around for a while know that there is no such thing as best. There's just different. And that's okay. The word worst, yeah, pay attention to that, but also keep the same kind of thing in mind. So yeah, there you go with that. Brains Baked Beans says on a very dead cat frame, the 03 doesn't really catch the props, just barely in wide and a little more in ultra wide. It's tasteful IMO. The problem with dead cat frames is that they don't crash well. For a frame to crash well, you want the front arms to be, and the motors and the ends of the arms to be well in front of the center canopy with the camera. When you fly a dead cat frame that's like this, usually the camera is the first part that hits. So for a freestyle rig, you're gonna batter the living shit out of the front of the canopy and the camera. And that's going to get expensive because you're probably going to kill a bunch of cameras, and the 03 unit cameras are expensive and you can't get Best Buy replacement on them. So yeah, I never recommend a full-blown dead cat frame for freestyle. A squished X frame sometimes can work well, like the Apex, but I know the Apex has a hard time with that 03 camera unit fitment. I'm sure they'll get around that if they haven't already. I really like the Glide frame. It is true X, but then the nose of the frame is significantly longer so that you can put a 20x20 flight controller up front. So it kind of blurs the lines. Like the front motors are roughly in the same location as a squished X frame would be, but in relation to the camera itself. So, but yeah, you're still going to have some prop in view. So if you're going for that full-blown cinematic look, it's just not going to work. You're going to kind of have to run that dead cat frame, but you're probably not going to be wanting full-blown cinematic footage out of a freestyle basher and or out of an 03 air unit. Like the 03 air unit looks roughly as good as a Session 5, although I don't think it looks quite as good, but and that's not good enough quality to do any cinematic stuff. So a rig that you're going to build with an 03 as the main HD cam, you're just not going to use it for cinematic work. What's nice about doing that, though, is that if you wanted to use it for cinematic work, you could just plop a GoPro up on top. So that's a really interesting, like, one build to rule them all scenario, right? 03 air unit with no HD cam on top for hardcore freestyle, and then plop an HD cam on top for cinematic stuff. The only issue you would have with that setup is that you're going to bang the shit out of that rig doing freestyle stuff, and then you're going to put an HD cam on it, and there's going to be a bunch of jello because you banged the shit out of the rig doing freestyle stuff. Easy enough to have a set of cinematic motors, right? Like if you wanted to do that, put arm LEDs on all four corners, and then just have a full set of cinematic motors. Let them be the same motors, but don't beat the hell out of them. Just set them aside, and then when you want to do cinematic stuff, solder them on. The arm LEDs will make soldering those motors on extremely easy. And then, yeah, if you're doing, you just solder them on, go out and do your cinematic stuff, come home. I want to fly freestyle next time, pop them off, put the banged up, destroyed motors on. Some of the other things that are going to happen in that scenario is you're going to have to keep an eye on the carbon. Like as you bounce carbon fiber arms off of solid objects, they're going to start to delaminate, and that's going to lead to jello with cinematic work. So you're going to have to keep an eye on the arms. The best way to tell if an arm is starting to delaminate is just to twist it. Grab the body of the quad, grab the end of the arm, and just try to twist them. It should really be strong. And you've got 4 arms on the rig, so do one, do the next, do the next, do the next. And if one of the arms is drastically more, is able to rotate more than the others, that arm is starting to delaminate. You're also going to want to bend the arms. Grab the motors with your middle fingers here, put your thumbs under the middle of the frame, and just flex the arms like this on one diagonal, and then do the other diagonal, and you'll feel it if you've got an arm that's starting to get weak. If you're going to do cinematic stuff, replace that arm. Arms that are delaminating, arms that are getting weak like that, they will absolutely add an additional spike in your black box logs, and that's the kind of thing that can very easily produce jello, or just, you know, generally make the rig fly worse because there's more vibrations for the filtering to try to handle. Apache Smoke says, will the O3 cam fit the glide frame? I assume so, especially because the glide frame uses TPU camera mounts, and that kind of allows you to mount anything. Glide with O3 air unit. Let me see if anybody has done it. Thingiverse. Rotor builds. Yeah. We want rotor builds. Looks like it fits just fine to me. My attempt to build a lightweight freestyle quad full-size DJI Air unit. My source quad hero. Wait, no, was that DJI Air unit? That's from 2020. That's not it. Hey, chat. Does anybody know the answer? Has anybody? I know a lot of you guys have glides. Have any of you guys tried to put a O3 air unit camera in a glide? I could just ask Bob. It's always an option. Wait a second. I might have already asked Bob. Hold on. Let me see. Rugi. Concept. He's working on some sick new stuff. Unibells. That's where I asked him that. For you guys in my chat are asking if the O3 air unit cam fits in a glide. Any idea? All right, he's not. He was active an hour ago, but he's not active right now, so it might take a while. But when he gets back to me, I'll get back to you. YouTube just did the thing. Scrolling back up. There we go. The Sky is Mine says, I've had a Moblite 6 ordered since December with the bad motors, not here yet. Next order whoop, best to a Mob 6. See if you can cancel that order, man. The Moblite is going to drive you crazy because it's on the Diamond AIO. So try to cancel that order. I think it was Race Day Quads that has the regular Mobula 6 ELRS in stock right now. And that's what you want. So yeah, see if you can cancel that order. That's bullshit. Ordered since December? Yeah, fuck that, man. That's enough time where you can be like, yo, you got my money and you're sending me nothing? Give me my goddamn money back because I've given you 3 months and you haven't sent me anything. Go to hell. And then you won't have to deal with that stupid diamond board. Dan Dilla Terrible says, it's called an aluminum top hat spacer. Just found some on eBay. Very, very... Oh God, the Quadmula spacer's shipping cost is $15. Thank God Danzilla found them on eBay. Let's see. Aluminum top hat spacer. Yep, yep. Okay. We just have to find ones that are the right inner and outer dimensions. You know what I mean? For us. Threaded versus non-threaded. That's an interesting... It would be... I mean, it doesn't really matter. It might be stronger threaded. It's interesting. I don't know if it would be stronger threaded or not. So yeah, we have to find one that is the right inner diameter, and then also the right height. Well, here, I'll show you. This is obviously way too tall, but this area here has to be roughly the right thickness of our TPU mounts. So yeah, it would just be a matter of kind of finding the right one. What if I just put M3? There's only 63 results, but what if I put M3 in the search? 0 results. And these are not what we want. These are just flat spacers. What is this? Headset. Is this This is for mountain bikes, actually. This is not what we want, is it? Can you guys show me a side view of the damn thing, please? Yeah, it's absolutely not what we want. That ain't it. That's not what we want there. No, no. No, no, no. But yeah, these other ones, these are roughly what we're looking for. I like this. I like this. We've got someone hand drew the measurements. That's not right though. That's not what we want. But aluminum top hat spacer. 8.3 millimeters outer diameter. That ain't it. 12 millimeters small outer diameter. That ain't it either. Yeah, these are all looking kind of big. M12, 14 millimeters. Nope, 14, 12, 5/8, 11.9. Yeah, these are all way too big. But it's good that we now know the name of it. So like, what if I just M3 aluminum top hat spacer? 12 millimeter small outer diameter. No, that's not it. McMaster car? No. Yo. All right. I'm not going to go through McMaster car, but on stream, but I'm going to drop this link into the chat. And if one of you guys can find what we need, you're a fucking legend. We need it to be strong. So, but light. So I think aluminum is really the right material. But cap head spacer washer. Nah, that ain't it. These are what I currently use, and they work okay. Link to 949 Racing. Nice. 949 Racing is a company that makes some of the best Miata aftermarket parts
in the world.
I forgot that I had that. Yeah, this is also not what we want. So yeah, big thumbs up to Quadmula for doing something cool. Hey, camera doesn't fit. Bob got back to me. Camera doesn't fit. The lens is too wide. It would actually fit if someone redid the mount mechanism. I just haven't had time. If someone would design that sort of a mount real quick, it would fit. Okay, so it will fit. We just need a specific type of mount. Here we go. This is Bob's little Photoshop. So, oh, okay. So it'll absolutely fit, but you just got to find the right TPU mount. I guess he's drawing this outside part so that you can mount the top screw as well. The DJI double screw mount that I've got in my Glide just uses a single screw TPU, and it's completely fine. So yeah, looks like we just need the right TPU mount, which is fine. If someone would design that sort of a mount real quick, it would fit. Spacing between standoffs is 22 millimeters, so the lens would fit if there was no mount on either side, so just needs to go around the camera. Let me measure right now again to confirm. Very cool. Thanks, man. So yeah, there you go. Ramdonko says, did you adjust the orientation on that Acon AIO as the arrow direction on the board is parallel? I don't remember if I did, but fixing board orientation in Betaflight is super simple. So Rob Oxison says, the OG Runcam Nano 3 with round lens is nice for outdoors, but the sun is still a black blob in the sky. That sucks. God, that sucks. AJ says, are you saying put LEDs in line with the motor wires? No. AJ, there are these things called LED race wires. You don't have to run, and I just say LED race wires because they're fun. You can just run regular race wires, but if you're gonna put race wires in, I really like these. This is two of them next to each other, so it looks kind of weird. But oh, here's one with shrink wrap on it. So this is a race wire LED. They're made by a bunch of different companies, and it is a little race wire with a couple of LEDs on it, thus the name. And so this thing, you solder up your motor to one side, and then you take the rest of your motor wires and you put them on the other side, and then this goes to the LED. And what this does for you is, hold on, it allows you to it saves you from prop strikes. So when you get a prop strike, it hits this thing rather than hitting the wires and cutting through the wires. But the other thing it does is it allows you to change your motors very easily, because in order to change a motor, all you got to do is desolder right here and pop the motor off, and away you go. You don't have to dig in here and like pull the top plate and get all up in the ESC. It just makes motor swaps super, super, super simple. You just handle it right here. You don't have to do anything. You barely have to take the propeller off, and you just bring your soldering iron in, bang, 4 or 3 motor screws, pop it off, and away you go. Yeah, these are race wire LEDs is what they're usually called. CL Racing makes them. A bunch of different companies make them, and they're just great, man. I put them on every single build. They do add a significant amount of time to your build, because instead of 3 solder instead of 3 solder joints per motor, right? Motor on, solder to ESC, you're done. It's 9 solder joints per motor, because you cut the motor wires to the right length to the race wire LED, 1, 2, 3. You take the rest of that wire, 1, 2, 3 to the other side of the race wire LED. Well, I should say 4, 5, 6, and then you run those wires to the ESC 7, 8, 9. So 9, 18, 27, 35 solder joints per quad instead of 12. But hey, it's really good practice soldering, and after you've done it, when you need to switch a motor, your life is way easier. And you've got LEDs on your arms, which is super fun and super cool, and yeah, you'll never know because you'll be in the goggles, but everybody else will be like, whoa, you're the best pilot ever. Envy the Bird says, posted some photos of an 03 in a glide in CiottiFPV's Discord a few weeks ago. Very cool. There we go. And Bob just confirmed it. Yep, confirmed. Could also make a thinner mount wrapping the standoff. Awesome. Thanks, man. Any idea when the glide will be back in stock? That's the real question right there. Very cool, Envy of the Birds. Thank you for that. Layman Board says, I 3D printed an 03 camera mount for a glide. There we go. So yeah, we're good. Layman Board, what do I need to search for on, is it on Thingiverse? What do I need to search for on Thingiverse to find it? I'll send Bob a link to it, actually. Rob Axelson says, I can make anything fit with enough PETG. Denzel Turbo says, the eBay ones are too big. Indeed they are. Denzel Turbo also says, couldn't you just put a little aluminum spacer in there, slightly bigger holes in the TPU? Probably. If you could get the right thickness spacer, I don't see why not. And there are 2mm and 3mm spacers on, is it NewBeeDrone? Let's see. Accessories, hardware, M3 colorful spacers, 2mm and 3mm. Damn, I'm good. So yeah, 2mm and 3mm, they are threaded, which is fine. That might even be a better thing. So let's do it. Let's do it. We're gonna do it right now. Well, I'm gonna show you guys how I would do that. How about that? I'm not sure if it's actually gonna work, but I'm gonna show you guys how I would accomplish that. So we're gonna remove my current little setup, which is one of those little spacers that we were looking at before, one of like the flat little washer jibby jabbies, basically. Let me do this with the detail cam to really kind of drive home what we're doing here. So this is what I normally run. This little spacer guy up on top. Come on, you can focus. There you go. So that's what I usually run. What this guy does is when you look at like the footprint here, it's much bigger than the head of the screw, right? So the head of the screw is pretty small, so that'll pull right through the TPU on a hard crash. So you can see the dent that this thing has left, right? The head of the screw is small, but then this washer thing makes the contact patch bigger, and that prevents your TPU from ripping off. So this little setup is really, really good as is, but we can do better. And I've got a ton of these NewBeeDrone spacers here, so I can literally show you how to do this without us needing to... Possibly. So here's the 2 mil, and then here's the 3 mil. So let's dive in here. 3 mil, 2 mil. Basically, what we need to see is what's the thickness of the TPU. I have a feeling it's going to be 2 mil because I think our best bet is for this spacer to be a little... Oh, no, wow, okay. It's definitely not 2. Going thinner is not a terrible idea because then you're going to squish the TPU a little bit, and I kind of like that idea. But we're already going to be squishing the TPU a bunch. We're going to be stretching the TPU out because we're putting a bigger, the TPU is drilled for the M3. So, yeah, 3 mil is about right. I think 4 millimeters would actually be perfect. How can I show this to you guys? I just want to show you the thickness of this little fella. And I dropped it, of course. Where'd it go? Where'd you go, you little bastard? Where'd you go? There it is. It was in my crotch. Okay. Here's how I'm going to show this to you. We're going to go like this. We're going to go like this. And I'm going to take this. So this is the 3 mil. And if you look, this 3 mil is about the right thickness. It's a little bit too small. See, so like I think a 4 mil would be absolutely perfect. But this might actually be perfect because it's going to let the TPU squish down a little bit. All right, so now what you're going to do is you're going to take this little bastard and you're going to just put it in line. So you're going to take your screw, and then you're going to take this washer, you're going to put this guy on first, and then you're going to put this little guy on. And this is threaded, so you're going to be able to crank this all the way down. And what's nice about that is it's going to hold this little washer on to keep it from escaping, as they like to do. So you're going to run it like this. And now let's just see. See, so now the outer diameter of this spacer is kind of big, right? And then we're going to try to put it through this small hole in the TPU. But TPU is stretchy, so it should just, like, stretch it out a little bit. So let's see if it does. I mean, I'm sure that it will. Yep, there we go. So there it's stretching it out. And we're getting it down. And good to go. No need for custom top hats. Just get a bunch of NewBeeDrone 3mm thick colorful spacers. Yep. That's amazing. I'm going to do that to every single 5-inch rig that I've got. It doesn't really stretch it out much at all. All right, so let's I mean, and I'm fucking cranking on that. Like, yeah, I mean, that is now buried. I can't go any harder on that. And now this one on the other side, right? Like, I can very easily just keep cranking on this one, and it'll just keep smashing the TPU out until it actually pushes right through the TPU. So I mean, like, that's not, we've always had to run these a little bit loose on all 4 of these. Otherwise, we would squish through the TPU. So it definitely does open the TPU up a little bit, but it's not as bad as I thought. One side has it, and the other side doesn't. And I guess it's obvious. You can tell this side here. This side has that spacer on the inside there. You really can't see it. And this side does not. But this side, if I keep cranking on it to try to get this screw tight to strengthen up the top of this damn thing, it is going to start to squish this TPU out. You know what I mean? Because we're just going to keep cranking and cranking and cranking, and eventually it's going to squish that TPU so badly that it rips. This side over here, it's not going to rip the TPU because that spacer is in there. That spacer is giving it a 3mm gap. So the only stretching of the TPU is in the outward direction. Yo, that's legit. I swear, I'm seriously going to do this to every single rig I've got. I'm going to need to buy more of these 3mm spacers. Because I have a bunch, but I don't have nearly enough. I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to take out all of the... Hey, to keep your spacers organized, put them on a big, long M3 screw. These are my 3mm. These are my 2mm. Where did I get those from? They're from over here. Wow, this is all that I've got. Okay, so yeah, I definitely need to get a bunch more. I have a bunch of 5mm spacers in here. There's another 2mm. Yeah, okay. I just have these, it looks like. So, oops, nope, wrong ones. These are the 3mm. I'm gonna leave these out. I'm gonna put these 2mm away. Oh, there's another one. Oh, you know what's interesting? I've been using these 3mm for something else too. For you can change the up tilt on your TPU mounts by using those little spacers. You put the spacer below the front or rear of the mount. So you would do like here for, let me show you with the detail cam, that's going to be easier. So if you wanted less up tilt from this mount, you would do another one of these washers on the bottom, flipped upside down, and that way the 2 washers sandwich the TPU, and then you would put one of those 2mm or 3mm threaded spacers on top of the, in between the top plate and the upside down washer. So that what you end up with is a little stand in the back. And it's not, like, you don't want to do that on a freestyle rig that you're going to crash, but for cinematic work, it's going to be totally fine. What you end up with is, this is how I kind of store them. And this is the order that you need the pieces to be in. God damn it, get out of there. There we go. This is the order that you need those different pieces to be in right here. So this is how you can store that little setup in your flight bag. And you got to run an extra long screw, but yeah, you got the one washer on top, you got the other washer on bottom, and then you got your little 2mm or 3mm or 5mm spacer. And yeah. And you can give yourself more up tilt by putting this setup in the front. So the TPU goes in here on this little setup. The TPU goes, God damn it, get back here! Hold on. Let's separate these 2 little washers. There we go. So yeah, the TPU would go in here, in between this spot. And yeah, you can put the TPU up higher or lower. Make sense? Let me know if that doesn't make sense. I don't really know how else to explain it, but I'll try. It should make sense. Okay! I'm going to leave this quad out because I got some work to do. Although that doesn't really make much sense to do it on that rig. But what's kind of cool about that as well is now you've got a little hidden 3mm spacer in your quads. And if you ever wanted to do more or less up tilt, you could use that to do it if you were in a pinch. You would want to have another washer, like I just showed you, but you could technically do it with only one washer. So that would be kind of slick to have those hidden in all of your TPU mounts. And then if you need a little bit more up tilt or less up tilt, you got something to do it. It's probably about 5 degrees of up or down tilt changing. Hopefully a week for the glide. Awesome. I love Bob very much. But I will just say this. It was about a week, a couple months ago. Maybe it came in and it went back out of stock, but yeah, maybe not. Let me just really quickly send Brain3D a message. It's the same thing without that custom piece from Quadmula with a 3mm spacer, which I just did on one of your mounts, and it only pushed the TPU out a little bit. Love it. Cool. So, you know, Quadmula did something cool, but we got it. We can do it ourselves without. Definitely don't pay $15 in shipping. That's silly. Ego drift. What the hell is that? Bob sent me a very strange link. What the hell is that, Bob? Good call, Danzilla. Good call. License to YouTube did the thing. Come on now. YouTube, get your chats fixed. $15 for shipping. Come on now, Quadmula. Mula. Where was I in the chat? God damn it. There we go. License to Drive says, try searching for countersunk shoulder washer. We don't really need to at this point. Let's support NewBeeDrone. I think you can find those 3mm spacers on a bunch of different websites. Do not quote me on that, because I've only ever gotten them from NewBeeDrone. But yeah, it looks like that 3mm is perfect. If we can find a 4mm, that might be even better. Although I actually do like the idea of squishing the TPU a little bit, because then it's gripping the TPU a little bit more. If we did a 4mm, the TPU might not get that compression. And without that compression, it's going to be easier for that TPU to want to rip if it gets pulled front, back, left, or right. So I think 3mm might actually be perfect, because then you get a little bit of squish, and that squish is going to have friction on the top and bottom. And that friction is going to make that TPU want to hang on to the top plate and the washer, and it's just going to make it want to rip a little bit less, basically. Make it less, whatever. I said that in a horrible way, but you know what I was trying to say. Michael D says, want to let the gang know that if somebody's looking for a rapid fire module, I just burped in the middle of speaking. Rapid fire module, PyroDrone just got some in stock. Very cool. Love that. Gamma Gonad says LED race wires are also very good for ESC diagnostics. How so? Interesting. I never thought about that. How does that? What do the LED race wires do? Just tell me more, Gamma Gonad. That is fascinating. I have seen the LED race wires go nuts before, when like the ESC channel is dead or the motor is dead, but it's always been obvious because the motor is dead or the ESC is dead, and so the motor is like twitching. Tell me more. Tell me more. That is great insight. I can't think of what the LED race wire would tell me that the motor refusing to spin wouldn't. And it sounds like you might be onto something there, Gamma Gonad. Tell us more. Freeloja says, keep the washer. What washer? Rob Axelson says, CiottiFPV Collective got a bounce burner pack for me. Stay safe. I'm sure he's long gone by now, but thanks for hanging. Brother, Danzilla the Terrible says, you need to sell the spacer standoff gummy kits like that on Etsy. Done. I'm going to get a whole bunch of... I'm going to do a big-ass order on NewBeeDrone of these 3mm. Oh, I forgot about this. Oh, I forgot about this. Oh, yeah, I forgot all about this. Oh, shit. I forgot all about this. They are $1 per. I am not going to be doing a big-ass order of these. It's 6 of them. 6 of them for $5. I'm going to message Kelvin and ask him if I can order a whole bunch of these with a little bit of a discount. Because, yeah, $1 each is going to absolutely kill me. Yo, bro, any chance I can order a bunch of the 3mm spacer from your site and get a discount? They're almost $1 per on the site. All right, look at us getting some business done, yo. If I can get a discount on those, I will absolutely have an item on Etsy for this. It'll be the top washer, the bottom washer. I'll do it both ways, actually. I'll have an item that is set up as a I'll do a thing in a place. Freeloger says you kept the washer. What? Oh, on the frame. Oh yeah. Running those washers is really important for sure. Rockcrawler says if they light up still the ESC, it might indicate the ESC is still doing its job and the motor is bad, or vice versa. Every situation I've ever had, the arm LED always lights up, whether the motor is bad or whether the ESC is bad. The arm LED always will do like a little bit of a dance with the lights. I guess if the motor is all the way, no, because even without a motor connected, the lights will still do a little dance, I think. I forget. And look at that. I'm caught up on chat. Let's dive into the Fractal 65 build. It is... Good God! It's 4:27 already. Good God! I'm going to leave the charger on because I will inevitably over-discharge one of these batteries. Ooh. I spilled. So, this is the Fractal 65 build. Fractal 65 frame, NewBeeDrone cockroach ducts, the lightweight cockroach ducts, NewBeeDrone BI camera, actually, T-motor, F4 6 amp AIO, whip antenna, BT 2.0, Tiny Whoop 0702 30,000 kV motors, and GemFan bi-blade props. I've flown a bunch of batteries on this, and the main problem is the weight. This Fractal 65 frame uses the majority of the plastic from all of our current Tiny Whoop frames, and then some TPU and some carbon fiber. This, pretty much the identical version of this build in a Meteor 65 frame as a Mobula 6 ELRS. These motors weigh the same amount. This is actually heavier because this has a singularity antenna on it. This guy is 19.5 grams. This is the same build with an antenna that's almost a full gram heavier. So with the whip antenna that this build has, this thing would be sub 19 grams. So let's just say 19 grams right on the nose. 19 grams for this build, right? Same motors, same, I mean, different camera, but yeah, basically the same build. So yeah, 19 gram build. This Fractal 65 build, 21.8 grams. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a lot. That's almost 3 grams different on, and when 3 grams with into 20 grams, that's like 15%, 16% weight increase. Think about a 5-inch rig. 15% weight increase on a 600 gram 5-inch rig. 60. That's an extra 90 grams of weight. That's the difference of flying with and without an HD cam. That's a lot. Dexter, thank you for the £3 super chat. Much appreciated, my friend. That's a huge deal, and it feels like it in the air. That being said, so because of that, it's very difficult for me to compare the performance and the flight characteristics of this Fractal Squished X frame to all the other ones. Because, yeah, this flies way better because it's 3 grams lighter. So I guess the question becomes, like, what do I have? So, I mean, yeah, like, I could just fly these 2 back-to-back today, but doing that, this is just going to be better in every way because it's 3 grams lighter. So, and that was kind of the... I don't want to have to do, like, that was the plan, but I don't like that plan because it's just, that's just a worthless comparison, right? Like, we know right out of the gate that one's going to be better than the other. If you blind tested me on these, absolutely immediately I'm going to be able to tell the difference from this thing being 3 grams heavier. What I think maybe we'll do instead is we'll test another fatty rig. I just realized a minute ago that I've got another fat rig. This is the NewBeeDrone BLV4, so to speak, rig. This is actually a BLV3 AIO, my BLV4 AIO cooked. But the flight characteristics between the BLV3 and 4 are identical. This is in a cockroach frame, like you would get from the BLV4, and this is on motors that weigh roughly the same as the motors that come with the... Basically, the whole point behind this rig here is to have something that performs as closely as possible to the NewBeeDrone BLV4 if you were to swap the 25,000 kV motor 802s onto it. For our little testing here today, Ton Habrikan says try Quicksilver on the Fractal. Quicksilver doesn't like Betaflight is the best firmware that there is. Betaflight does everything kind of perfect if you get it tuned right. Tuning it is very simple. There's tons of resources on how to tune it for free on YouTube. So there's really no reason. Like there's nothing that Quicksilver rather is going to do that Betaflight doesn't. So yeah, I don't have any need to really try Quicksilver. All of these rigs with very simple, very quick tuning have like perfect flight characteristics. They don't prop wash. The latency is extremely low. And there's just a ton of other things that you can adjust, like PID sum and whatnot. So yeah, Quicksilver is like, it's interesting and it's great that we have another option, but there's really nothing that Quicksilver does better than Betaflight. Quicksilver is mainly for folks that don't want to take the couple of minutes to look up a few UAV tech or Chris Rosser videos and figure out what's going on in Betaflight. So yeah, no real reason to try Quicksilver for me to try Quicksilver, because it just doesn't do anything better. It's not better, it's just different, and I don't need different. Betaflight is the way to go. So this fat guy, let's see how fat it really is. It's pretty chunky. Hey, look at that, 22.4. 22.4 versus 21.8. I'm going to get these a little bit closer in weight to one another by removing these tri-blades that are on it and replacing them with bi-blades. I've been meaning to do this anyway. Hey, but I'm going to show you guys the new Tiny Whoop prop puller. Technically, I don't need them. These are the T-Motor tri-blades, and these things come off really easily. You saw me just pull this one off. You just grab the motor base with your thumb and pointer finger, and then just grab the propeller and just twist it, and twist and pull, twist and pull, twist and pull, twist and pull, and it'll just pop right off. These T-Motors are the inner diameter on these is beautiful. It's just right. But a lot of other props fit too tightly, so buy yourself one of these from tinywhoop.com. You open it up like this. You're gonna pinch the motor in the same way, because you want to just control the motor, and you just put this under the prop, in between the prop and the bell, and you just give it a little wiggle. You got to kind of sneak it in there. So you just give it a little wiggle, just wiggle back and forth, wiggle, 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 and that's going to start pulling the propeller off. And then once it gets seated under there, you push the little plunger. This prop is like not, when the prop is hard to get off, it's more obvious. But yeah, you get the plunger on the motor shaft, and then you just lift it up, and that's it. And you got your prop on here, and it's amazing. This thing is worth its weight in gold. Although, once you buy a 0.99 millimeter drill bit from me, you really won't need this, because you'll be able to just grab the propeller like this and just twist it a little bit and pull it off. And it's no big deal. These are NewBeeDrone Venom props without the 0.99 drill bit. These are a great way to bend your motor shafts, because they fit way too tight on the motor shaft. If you don't want to drill bit these out, make damn sure that you have one of these, because this is the only way that you're going to be able to get these damn things off. And that goes for all of the NewBeeDrone props. The inner diameter is way too small on all of them. So yeah, be really careful. But I have already drilled these out, so I'm going to be able to put these on easily and take them back off easily, which is kind of the better scenario, if you ask me. Because, like, you know, what if you forget this? What if you don't have this with you when you're out flying your Tiny Whoop and you break a prop or lose a prop or whatever? Yeah, you're gonna be pissed. So let's get these. So these are the NewBeeDrone Venom bi-blades, and they're really good. They're not quite as good as the GemFan bi-blades, but they come in purple and green, and they're almost as good. And to be honest, if your rig looks really good, that's probably going to make a bigger difference in the way that you fly than the tiny little difference between this and the damn and the GemFan bi-blade. So Danzilla the Terrible thinks he found the spacers on McMaster car for 37 cents each. Look at this guy go. Danzilla's got a bunch of posts trying to convert cheeseburger to metric on McMaster Car's website. That's always a not very fun game. Those I'm trying to think. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Like, I appreciate you finding those, Danzel, but to be honest, I think that a separate 3mm spacer is kind of a better bet because the separate 3mm spacer you can use, like I said, to give yourself a little bit more or less up tilt. You would take the washer off the top and you would put the washer on the bottom, and then you would put the 3mm spacer between the top plate and the washer. And then if you had another washer, that'd be great to put on top for the button head screw, or you could just run the button head screw on top because the button head does have enough width to not immediately rip through the TPU. So yeah, the top hat spacers, they wouldn't allow you to. Sure they would. Sure they would. You could just take the top hat spacer and flip it upside down. Yeah, you could just take the top hat spacer, flip it upside down, and that'll accomplish the same thing. That'll. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it absolutely would. So, cool. Hey, let's weigh these now that I got these vibrates on. Because I think these will be damn near the exact same weight. The only thing about me testing these two rigs, this guy is on 802s and this guy is on 702s. So this is going to be a more grunty motor. But just pretend like I didn't tell you that. 21.8 grams. 22.2 grams. Not a big difference, but I'm going to say close enough. Much closer than sub 19 grams. So yeah, let's fly these two guys back to back, and we will talk about. I'm going to try my level best to notice any differences that the Squished X carbon fiber fractal frame is making to the flight characteristics versus our standard True X jibby jabbies. Denzilla says, I'm talking about the spacer to be able to crank down like you showed us how to do before. I'm talking NewBeeDrone like spacers. Oh, just 3mm threaded spacers. Oh, cool. For 37 cents each. Ooh, that's pretty cool. That's hot. And they don't have to be these fancy colors or knurled because they're going to be inside of the TPU. Oh, that's awesome. Dan, yeah, dude, shoot me that link if you don't mind, my guy. I'll buy a bunch of those and see what's what. All right, cool. And these are both on cockroach ducts, which is pretty interesting. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fly a bunch of batteries through this because I want to dive into tuning this a little bit. The carbon fiber frame should allow us to really push the PIDs. This AIO has a BMI 270, which is a shame, but that's the world that we live in now. We're not going to get AIOs that have MPU 6000s anymore. So, yeah, that sort of is what it is. Let's start bouncing this thing off the walls and see what's going on with it. Like I said, I flew a bunch of batteries on this little Instagram live stream I did yesterday, but I didn't really play around with the tune. I cranked the tune up a little bit initially, and then I just started flying it, and then at some point I might have turned it up a little bit more, but I didn't go really aggressive on the tune. So let's see where we can kind of go with it. Because to be really honest, I mean, the only reason to do this build here is for the carbon fiber frame being more stiff, because it's I really don't think it's going to be more durable from a standpoint of like the total build. You know, like the motors are going to take a lot more abuse. Let me start cranking the PID tune up already, actually. Oh, the master multiplier is all the way up at 1.6 already. So I did crank it up. So let's try 1.8. And we're good. So the fact that it's nice and clean, man, it feels heavy. Get used to me saying that. So the fact that when I blip the throttle, it's nice and quiet when I come off the throttle, that's an indication that's the easiest indication that the PID tune is not, it's not over-tuned. Let me make sure I have my throttle expo set properly. I don't think I do. Yeah, see my hover point, because I'm used to lighter weight rigs, I'm used to the hover point being a lot lower. This hover point is significantly higher. So I'm seeing, so off on the right side of the screen above the amp readout, which is completely wrong at 28 amps, is my throttle value. So to set your throttle expo midpoint, you just want to cruise around at like the normal speed that you cruise around and just keep an eye on your throttle value. What I'm seeing is it's usually around 45%. Sometimes it goes higher, sometimes it goes lower, but yeah. And then you come in here, you go to profile, you go to, I think it's in the rates, you go to the bottom. What I did there, I just hit up to go to the last menu. There's a bunch of different menus here. Not a bunch of different menus, but it continues, right? So I go to the bottom, and then it goes down a page. And so, yeah, what you can do easily when you first come into this rate thing is just push up on the right stick, and then it'll automatically put you at the second page. So the throttle expo amount is 40, but then the midpoint is only 35. So I need to move the midpoint up significantly. I'm going to move it up to 42, because as you change that midpoint, your hover point is actually going to change. So now we can see my hover point is about 40, 42 tends to be like the center now. Great. Let's do some flying here. My goggles are completely fogged up for some reason right now. You're gonna see me hitting, just flying right into stuff. That's the weight. I'm used to like giving throttle, and there being, oh boy, and there being a much bigger response in elevation. So when you see me like, so like if I want to jump over the couch and I come up here and I just hit it like that and I'm too low, that's because it's heavier than what I'm used to, basically. So kind of keep that in mind. That's your, oh God, I hit myself. That's your like indication of moments where, yeah, I'm expecting it to react a little bit, yeah, change elevation a little bit quicker. This rig has really good power. These 0702 30,000s on these, oh my God, on these GemFan biblades, this is a combo that has great power. You guys have seen me fly this combination on the Mobula 6s quite a bit. But yeah, with this heavier frame, for me, oh my God, for me, the power to weight ratio is not quite what I'm looking for. But I have pretty high standards, admittedly. Like I've built and flown a lot of different tiny whoops, and I've kind of found a formula that I really dig, which is sub 20 grams dry with these high RPM 702s. We could certainly go to an 0802 here on this build, but that would make it even heavier. So I think that the best Fractal build is actually going to be on 702 high kV. I would maybe go all the way up to like the 32,000 kV 702s, just so you can get the most possible power out of them. Because yeah, doing a Fractal 65 build, in my opinion, you're going to want to prioritize your power to weight ratio over everything else. So that means using the lightest weight motors you can find with the highest kV, and right now those are the Tiny Whoop 0702 32 thousandths. The 0802 30 thousandths would give you more power than those 0702s, but they would also give you more weight. So the rig would still feel heavy, like when you're off throttle or when you're cornering, the rig is going to feel even heavier. The only time that it's going to feel better is when you're hammering on the throttle, and we only hammer on the throttle for like a split second at a time. So yeah, in terms of like all around flight characteristics, this build is going to benefit from the lightest possible motors, and that's an 0702. Let's throw another battery through it. So it's doing fine. Actually, let's put it into beta flight and take some of the filtering out of it. So again, the point in doing this build is that you've got a carbon fiber frame which is going to handle vibrations better. So if you want to talk, like, we want to work with the benefits of the build, and what that means is you want to just push your PIDs crazy high. I'm going to push the D gain up a little bit more to 1.2, and pull your filtering down crazy low. So we're going to move this D term filter up to 1.4, and we're going to see how this thing does. I've already got the gyro RPM filter set to 1 harmonic. I've already got the dynamic notch filter set on a single notch with a very high Q factor of 500. I do need to move this max frequency up to 1,000. That's actually going to add a little bit of latency, but it's only going to add a tiny little bit, and we took away a bunch by moving this D-term filter multiplier up to 1.4. So that's going to sort of be the... Yeah, that's going to be the magic of a Fractal 65 frame, is how far can you push the PIDs? In all honesty, with my standard Mobula 6 build, I can... This battery just vented. Yeah, I can hear it. This is an old... Yep, and there's the sweet smell. This is an old WeBleed battery that must have just developed a little hole in it. That's funny. Let's fly it anyway. It'll be fine. I had another battery that had a tiny little hole in it, and it kept flying for a while. Yeah, so the regular Mobula 6 ELRS builds that I do, I'm able to get the filters plenty aggressive and the tune plenty aggressive. So yeah, again, like this, my main take on this Fractal 65 frame is that it doesn't really, other than no props, no ducts in view. No ducts in view is the thing about this frame that you can't get kind of anywhere else. But other than that, it doesn't fix any problems that our existing builds have, and it's a little heavy. Ah! It's twice now that this thing got stuck in my pants. Whoa, okay. I asked a little bit too much from it. A little too much yaw. And, oh. So that's twice in a row that this AIO has desynced. Rig still flies good, as you can see. Nothing wrong with how this thing flies. Oh, the big power loop, yo. Nothing wrong with this rig, but it feels heavy. This entire time, I'm having to push the throttle more. I'm having to like just work a little bit harder because of the weight. Ah! I think I just knocked the antenna off. If you crash and the video gets worse after the crash, your antenna's missing. And sure enough, my antenna's missing. Tell me it didn't rip the UFO off. No, it did not rip the UFO off. But the antenna is over here on the floor. That's not where it should be. Let's get it back on. I'm going to unplug the battery before I do this because the UFL is metal and it has a tendency to not plug in and kind of like slip to the side, and that could be bad. So come on, little buddy, get back on there. All right, there we go. Antenna is back on, plugging the battery back in. Here we go. Here we go! More abuse. Let's go upstairs with it. Wait, no, the bat. Oh, farts. Son of a bitch. I'm gonna have to take the walk on this one, aren't I? Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Come out of there. Yaw is the key. When your rig gets stuck like this, it's all about yaw. But in this case, it ain't coming out, and I think that battery's about dead anyway. Okay. Put a fresh battery, and we're gonna go upstairs and really start banging this thing around. Okay. There we go with another folded cell 300. Come on, get in there. All right, and there we go. And there's that. And there we go. Okay, let me clean off the lens of this camera. What I'm noticing is every time I change the battery, I put my my finger on the lens of this camera. And a second ago, it was really kind of cloudy. Oh, yeah, that's way better. Let me also clean my the lenses of my Fat Sharks real quick here. All right. Now I should be able to see a little bit better. Oh, that is way better. Oh, God. Who needs HD when you can just clean your goddamn lenses every once in a while? Let's go upstairs and play around. Oh boy. So that is another little micro desync. This is the T-Motor AIO. And yeah, I'm not super impressed by it. Usually the Happy Model... Oh boy, that was a big one. That's another one there. Usually the Happy Model AIOs will start to do that, but it takes a while. Oh, God. Okay. So I could really feel the difference in weight there on that big catch. In fairness, the rig is coming down from all the way up here, right? It's a big power loop. I'll do it again for you guys that might be new here. So it's a wall climb and then a big power loop, and then so it's coming down from like, I don't know, 25 feet or so, and it's coming down into its own prop wash. So it's really difficult, but it's a really good test of power to weight. And I'm used to the lighter rigs, and they catch themselves a lot better. Man, this AIO is having a hard time with... So one of the things that we run into with Tiny Whoops is a lack of power, a lack of authority when using both yaw and roll. I'm starting to do those power loops diagonal, which is really cool because you go whizzing by the big long pole in this fan. Yeah, so when you see those little uncommanded arm drops like that, that's the FET's not being able to catch up or keep up, or it could be a lack of power, but I don't get it nearly this often on the Happy Model build, so maybe it's weight related. Technically, it could also be geometry related. That could be a problem with the Squished X geometry versus True X. This T-Motor AIO, I mean, in fairness, I am pushing it really hard when that happens. Like, I am really, really, really punishing the rig when that's going down. So most people are not going to have that situation nearly as often. But hey, it's there, and it's a thing. This T-Motor AIO doesn't really fit all that well into any of the regular Tiny Whoop frames. So I can't really like test this AIO somewhere else to see if it's the problem or if this something else in this build is the problem. What I will say though is that all of these builds are using the same FETs, so probably it's not an AI. I would think that it's more a what the fuck is happening? A build problem than an AIO problem. Did I lose the antenna again? No, the antenna's still there. My rapid fire was just freaking out. So yeah, my guess is going to be that has more to do with the weight of this rig or the squish dex geometry. Did you see it again? Did you see it in the middle of that? There it is again. So it happens when you push a bunch of roll and yaw in, but when you're also heavy on the throttle. Oops, I got a little confused in midair on that one. So yeah, see, it's doing it there. Like if I'm hard on the throttle and then I jam both yaw, you know, this is the same problem that the Avadas have. This is the same thing that makes the Avadas fall out of the sky. With the, oh, there it is again. Jesus, that was a bad one. With the Avada, it's the motors and the prop, the power to weight ratio is just wrong. Oh man, it's doing it a good amount here. Oh boy, yeah. So those catches are really tough with this thing being heavier from what I'm used to. I got to really just sit on the throttle. So that little movement there, watch, it'll do it next time I do it. Ready? No, it didn't get it. I guess I'm not going into it hard enough on the throttle. If I go into it hard on the throttle, yep, there it is. So yeah, we do get that on the Happy models every once in a while, but they're not anywhere near this frequent. And yeah, oh boy. And that's with like the same motors, the same props. So yeah, that's a thing. But again, that's happening when I'm pushing this thing unbelievably hard. If I just chill the fuck out a little bit, it's not gonna do it. Oh boy. Like I'm really pushing this thing just to like test the shit out of it. Oh God. Come back downstairs. This battery's shot. The weight is also causing the runtime of this thing to kind of go. I'm used to more than 3 minutes of runtime with these same motors and these same batteries. The extra weight of this rig is really kind of killing the runtime. Runtime is still fine, right? Like these Tiny Whoop batteries are cheap, and 2 minutes and 20 seconds is completely fine. But yeah. Frilo just says, have you seen the Darwin 15 amp AIO? I have, maybe? Does it have a VTX and ELRS built in? If so, I'm interested in it. If not, the 15 amp FETs are great in theory, but these little tiny motors, they just don't pull hard enough to really need them. Although, I mean, the situation that we're dealing with right now with these desyncs, these arm drops, potentially the 15 amp AIO could help with that. I mean, oh, you know what? Let's figure out the amp setup. So the amp reading is completely wrong on this thing. Somebody in chat a couple of weeks ago had said that they talked to T-Motor, and T-Motor told them that there is no current sensing on board with this AIO. When you get this rig, and so that sort of makes sense. Maybe the scale is just off though. Let's add a 0 to the scale because it's way off, and let's see if the numbers that it pulls are any different. So, right now, right here, this is the amp reading, 3.06, 3.07, 3.08. Let's arm it. Oh, it won't arm because it's plugged into Betaflight. Can I do turtle mode when it's plugged into Betaflight? Nah, it won't let you spin the props when it's plugged in. All right, unplug it from Betaflight. So it thinks it's using 3 amps right now, which is too high, but let's just arm it and see what that number goes to. Come on now. Will you please arm? It needs to sit still for a second. Can you arm, please? What is happening? I guess it wants to be power cycled. Let's just see what happens. Yeah, see. Yeah, so it's not changing. So it does not have a current sensor on board, which is kind of annoying. Although, I mean, it's a tiny whoop. So, like, I don't know. Who cares to some extent? But kind of annoying. All the other ones, all the other AIOs do have onboard current sensing. Here's the deal, though. What we can do is we can turn on the virtual current sensor, which works pretty damn good. And let me show you that. So the virtual current sensor is now turned on. So we're going to plug power in, and well, apparently the virtual current sensor does not work at all. I thought that I'd used the virtual current sensors in the past, and they worked pretty good. I thought, what I remember, it's been a long time, but what I remember is that they used the voltage sense and the throttle position to guess what the amps were at. I don't think we can use ESC sensor because it's not a BL Heli 32 ESC. But just for the sake of argument, let's plug a battery in and see if any of those ESC motor values come on board. Nope, so we can't use the ESC sensor. And then the last option is MSP sensor OSD slave. I don't know what the hell that means. Let's try it though. Okay, that's turned on. Let's plug this guy in. Nah, it's still reading 0. Yeah, no, that didn't work. Okay, so biggest ding on this T-Motor AIO is that there's no, you're never going to know how many amps you're pulling. Like I said, on a tiny whoop, I mean, who cares? For the most part, I like. Yes, the fact that all of the other ones have it, like. But hey, this is a T-Motor AIO. So if you're buying a T-Motor AIO, you're prioritizing wanting the AIO to last longer. And I think that the AIO lasting longer and being a higher quality is more important than having current sensing. If you don't think that's true, then don't buy this AIO. But yeah, your mileage will vary. It's every once in a while it's nice to have that, but man, I do not look at it often. I do not look at it often. So just think about that. Like if you don't even have current sensing in your OSD, you ain't gonna miss it. That's for damn sure. If you do have your amp readout in your OSD, be honest. How often do you really look at that? Usually I only look at it if there's like a problem. And if there's a problem, it's kind of nice to have it there. But usually you already know there's a problem and you're just kind of looking at that to confirm it. So I don't know. It's interesting. I certainly wish that it had it. I don't know why the hell they couldn't fit it if everybody else has been able to fit it. But Brandon Woodford, good call. For virtual to work, you have to set up the scale. Yours was 0. Let's do that. I haven't used the virtual in forever. So yeah, not surprised that I didn't notice that. So let's plug a battery in and we'll see what that virtual amp reading says. Says nothing. Okay, I'm gonna pull power, pull USB, plug it into Betaflight. I'm sorry, we're gonna plug a battery in rather. And we're gonna see. We still got a 0 on there. Oh, there we go though. See, when I start using the throttle, it works. So here's how we can tune it real quick. I can take one of these other rigs that has a current sensor on board. I'm gonna take the 32,000 kV rig. I'm gonna plug this one in. And I'm gonna hammer the throttle and we're gonna see how high the amps go on our little current sensor. So see, it's 0.58 right now. Let's see how high it goes at full throttle. 14, 15. So I want the Fractal rig to be at 14 at full throttle. And let's plug it in. And we're gonna go full throttle and we're gonna see what that number is. Come on. Come on, there we go. Full throttle, 21. Okay, so the scale is definitely off. Pull power, come back into Betaflight. And I don't know which direction to go with the scale. Yes, I do. I want to go up with the scale. So we're going to come back in here, power and battery. So let's set the scale to 200 because I think it showed 21 and we want to cut it roughly in half to be 14. So let's try that. We're going to disconnect. And you know what? The factory, the default scale is 250. I bet you 250 is about right for this scale, but we'll know a little bit more in a second here. Let's plug it back in and we'll go full throttle one more time and see what the number it gives us is. Come on, there it goes. 42. Okay, so we're going the wrong way with the scale. So pull power again, come back in. We're gonna bring the scale down to 50. And I think that's gonna be a little bit closer. All right, power and battery. Scale 50, save it, disconnect, plug it back in. Oh man, if it were only this simple on 5-inch rigs to dial the current sensing scale in, you know what I mean? And now it's at 10, so we're gonna go up to 60 on the scale, and that's probably gonna be about right. Because this battery is now kind of getting a little banged up. Not banged up, but discharged. So we're going to come back into power and battery, and we're going to put the scale to 60, and I bet you that's going to be right where we want it. Come back in here, power. Anybody not understand what I'm doing? Come on. Here we go. 12 point something or other, close enough. This battery, let me just plug the battery into battery's at 4.1 volts now. When I plugged it into the other rig, it was probably up at like, well, let's increase the scale another couple of numbers. No reason not to add a couple of numbers on it. 12 is a little too low. I'll bump it up another few. Power and battery, 60. Let's go to 65. So if you're gonna get this T-Motor AIO, change your current meter source to virtual and change your scale under amperage meter to 65, and that's probably about perfect. The current sensors on all of these other boards are not calibrated all that well anyway, so this is probably just as good as a board with an actual current sensor, although that's not true at all, because this current sensor is not, if you're having problems, this current sensor is not going to pick up on that. It's just going to be showing you, well, that's not true, because if you're having a problem, you're going to have to use more throttle, and then it's going to show you a higher number anyway. And that's about as valuable as as a proper current sensor. So in all cases, you know, it's not going to be quite as good, but hey, your AIO is made by T-Motor, and it's probably not going to catch on fire as often as there was another little desync, as often as the, oh God, I got a little confused as to what I wanted to do, as the Happy Model stuff. So this thing being heavier, I find myself like kind of doing different stuff. Oh boy. Which is kind of fun. Jesus. Brutal. Ah! That was sloppy, man. I did not get that lined up all that well, and then I tried to just kind of half-ass the approach and force it. There we go. Oh, boy. Is this oh, the battery's low. Okay, I was going to say the battery feels a little... Oh, shit! Oh, shit, there goes the antenna again. Why do I keep losing the antenna in that exact same spot? That's a little weird. All right, hold on. Plug it. Oh, God damn it. I forgot to turn on the fucking... I remembered to bounce back and forth between the VRX and the monitor view as I was doing that. Tuning. And then I forgot. Fractal battery holder that holds the antenna in place. That's pretty cool. I mean, I could just put a tiny little blob of E6000 and I would be good to go on this. So yeah, no big deal there. So that is the sound of one of the propellers hitting the duct. Let me fix that. It's always the left front. Yep, and sure enough, it's the left front. You got to kind of run these GemFan bi-blades not quite all the way down on the motor shaft on these cockroach ducts. That is not a failure of the Fractal frame. You could just use a Meteor 65 duct. I just flew right into it. You could just use a Meteor 65 duct on this to get around that. I don't have enough Meteor 65 ducts for this rig. Oh, there it goes again, dropping the army. Ah! Those crashes there, where the momentum of the rig drags me into something, those are crashes from the weight, from the extra weight of the rig. I'm used to the lighter weight rigs not sliding as much. We talk about that a good amount, but for anybody that's new, I fly a little bit more cinematic than most. So in corners, I try not to roll the horizon. Like, cinematic flying is basically you try to look like you're on a gimbal all the time. And gimbal is flat, right? So when I fly around, I coordinate my sticks. I coordinate roll with yaw a lot. So that when I'm flying around and I try to turn flat. Well, when you turn flat like this, I mean, technically you're nosed up like this, right? So you turn flat like that. The only thing cornering you is this amount of like, it's driving forward from you being tilted down a little bit, but it's going to slide sideways a bunch. To really corner tight, you add roll, and now you're using some thrust to point in this direction to stop it from sliding. But then you lose your horizon. Then you dump the horizon frame sideways. And I just don't like the way that looks, right? So for me, when I corner very flat. And when you corner flat, what you're relying on is the wind resistance to keep the rig from sliding and to start driving it forward. You're also getting some forward thrust from the down tilt, but to get it to not slide out and hit stuff, it's all about the weight of the rig. So the lighter the rig, the less momentum that it's going to have to slide. So this rig right now being 3 grams heavier than what I'm used to, when I'm doing that and I'm turning, it's sliding outwards more than I expect, and it's hitting stuff. This is, when I talk about like lighter weight rigs being easier to fly inside, that's what I'm talking about. Because when you're lining up a gap and you're not quite lined up right and you make an adjustment, if the rig is really lightweight, it'll follow that adjustment that you've just made. If the rig is heavier, it'll slide out and you won't make it through that gap. You can literally tell this by, like, if you DVR a bunch of batteries. If you fly a heavy rig and then a light rig, you try to shoot a ton of gaps inside, you'll notice that the heavy rig, you probably crash more often because it's sliding out the way that you don't want it to go and hitting stuff. Brandon Bean says, some of the racers like the Fractal 65 frame, but I didn't enjoy the feel of it over the normal BWhoop 65 frame from Happy Model. Have some M65 frames too, but I like the Happy Model one. Logs on the Fractal 65 frame were very clean though, gotta give it that. It's clean relative for a whoop, so I would try the clean with RPM filtering preset, just like I would on the Odonata frames. Fractal 75 frame here I've been meaning to mess with, but I've been stuck on this LR5 thing for the past couple of months. So yeah, Brandon is absolutely right. I'm certain that the logs from this frame are going to be a lot cleaner. The problem with that is that these other plastic frames, the logs are plenty clean for us to get the filtering latency down low enough where the flight performance is just amazing. Like, so the fact that the carbon fiber frame is ultra clean, it solves a problem that doesn't exist. Like, are you going to be able to push the filtering even farther? Absolutely. But what's that going to get you? Is that going to get you another quarter of a millisecond? Ooh, maybe it'll get you half of a millisecond. Oh, stop the fucking press it. Like that just doesn't matter. Like that is not a significant enough improvement to offset some of the problems that the frame introduces, mainly weight. So while this frame is super interesting, and while this frame does give you no props in view, which is awesome, I love that, it introduces some other things that are kind of a deal breaker for me personally. All that being said, though, we're going to put another couple of batteries through this, and then I'm going to switch over to this guy, and I'm going to see if I can actually tell a difference between the two. I really, really, really doubt it. But let's do one more battery on this guy, and then I'm going to fly one battery on this, and then I'm going to switch back to this and see if there's any appreciable difference in flight quality, flight performance. Let's do this, though. Let's continue to drop the filtering on this. Branswicking says, I agree, and the other issue I've had with the small ducts and the carbon struts is the additional airflow resistance. At least it felt that way. So I was talking on my little Instagram stream yesterday about how the run times were really low on the, not really low, but significantly lower on this. And that was one of the things that I blamed it on, is the additional struts blocking the thrust. So that could absolutely, it's funny you mentioned that, Brandon, because I was thinking the exact same thing. Because yeah, I mean we're pretty constantly getting 2 minutes and 20 seconds, and on the other rigs I usually get 3 minutes and 20 seconds. That's significant. That's a big difference. So let's just keep pushing the D-term slider, because the D-term slider is going to reduce latency more than any other slider, more than any other change that we're going to make here. We've already got barely any filtering on this. We've got pretty much no gyro low pass filtering, right? This low pass 2 with a static cutoff of 1,000 hertz, like that's not adding really any latency. And then we've got a single gyro RPM filter, one dynamic notch filter with the Q factor all the way up at 500, and now we've got the D-term slider all the way up at 1.6. Like the latency in this filtering scheme is like really low at this point. We would get more performance by continuing to push the PIDs, but the PIDs are super aggressive right now too. The master multiplier is all the way up at 1.8. I've got the damping slider at 1.2. Dmax is turned on. We've got the pitch sliders both at 1.1. We can even push those up to 1.2, I'm sure. So this thing, like this tune is really aggressive, and the flight performance is great other than us, the weird arm dropping issue that we've got, which I'm pretty sure is related to weight. And it might be a little bit related to frame geometry, or it might also have something to do with the extra wind resistance from the struts. But I mean, regardless of all that, the flight performance is amazing. So it's like, that's not a benefit, right? It like, we don't really need to talk about that because it's just there. It's just good. It's good enough. Let's see if those changes we just made make this thing unflyable. I really doubt it. These are also not fresh motors. These motors have probably 500 batteries through them. Tune is still good. So even with those changes, this is the most aggressive. Jesus Christ. There's that arm drop again. This is the most aggressive tune I've ever had on a Tiny Whoop. It doesn't, I mean, but on the other ones, the tune is like, it's just, again, it's back to, yes, the tune is more aggressive, but it's not getting us anything that we don't have on the other ones. I mean, yes, the black box log is cleaner, but I don't care what the logs look like. I care about the flight performance. Oh boy, I'm stuck to the ceiling. Oh, the disarm and rearm! Hell yeah! Oh boy! Oh boy. Hey! I haven't got stuck under that thing in a while. Oh, that was a hot disarm and rearm, friends. I don't usually get those in the house. It's usually a little bit too small in here to be able to get that disarm and rearm proper. Dizzy yet? I'm surprised it didn't drop an arm just now. I am flying it a little bit more careful since it's been dropping the arms like that. Nothing wrong with this build at all, man. Nothing wrong with it. I feel like I might be a little bit too hard on it, but I might be being a little bit too hard on it. But yeah, don't take that as me like hating on it. This is a great little build. It's very fun to build. You got some carbon fiber. You can go crazy on the filtering. If you've got really banged up motors, they're gonna do better on this build than any other build because the carbon fiber is gonna isolate those banged up motors from the gyro better than anything else. So yeah, nothing wrong with this build at all, except for the cracked duct. So yeah, that's going to be one of the problems with this build, because of the fact that the motors and the ducts are hard mounted to carbon fiber. This build is going to be harder on the ducts, and you are going to break more ducts on this build than with the plastic frames. This one's actually not broken all the way through yet, so we're gonna put it back up in the air. But this build is gonna be a little bit harder on motors and ducts than most because of the carbon fiber. Brandon says, try lowering the master, see if it still flies crisp but for longer. I did that on Instagram yesterday. I ran it with the master slider at 1.2, and then I put it up to 1.6, and there was no difference in runtime. So I think it's still plenty clean with an aggressive master multiplier. There's a point in tuning where the gains become so small that it just there's no benefit, and that point, the point that the plastic frames are at that point. The plastic frames are good enough that going any further on the PID or filter tuning doesn't net any significant gains that a normal human being is going to be able to feel. This frame allows us to go past that point. Awesome if you're the best pilot. If maybe Min Chan could tell the difference. I can't, and I don't think you guys are going to be able to either. So yeah. But that being said, maybe I'm about to be able to tell a difference. There are a bunch of other things that are about to change with this. Namely, I'm not going to be able to see where I'm going as well because of the NewBeeDrone AIO. But here is the most similar setup that I've got. Wow, it feels better on the yaw axis. That's weird. So these motors are making a little bit more power. What is it? What's the KV on these motors? I think I have them motor scaled down. Let's go upstairs with it. So I'm not having those arm drops. Oh, hold on. I gotta turn the I'm gonna turn the power up on this build a little bit. Oh, no. Don't be stuck under there. Oh, no. Are you kidding me? This is the corner of the refrigerator, I believe. Don't. Are you for fucking... Ooh, was that it? Nope. Are you for real right now? There we go. Nope, almost. Come on! Let's try this. God damn you. All right, I'm gonna turn the power up on this because right now it's I have it motor limited down to the equivalent of 25,000 kV. Oh no, I've got the throttle limit all the way up at 100%. Okay, so we're good. But I do have to go get it because I'm a spaz. Is your fridge running? You better go catch it. Yes, he's all hot now. Give it a second to calm down. Nope, let's bring it home and change batteries. This battery felt a little soft from the second that I took it off. This is one of my older batteries. I'm not going to fly another battery on the Fractal rig. I'm going to fly another battery on this rig because I want to use a battery that's a little bit more fresh. That was not really a fair comparison. So yeah, I've got these motors cranked all the way up. They are 30,000 kV, just like the 702s on the other rig. So with a fresh battery here, yeah, there we go. That's a little bit better. I gotta be honest, I can feel a difference between these two rigs, which is probably down to the squished X versus True X geometry. This just feels more, I hate to use the word, but this feels more balanced. Like between like the stick, just the way the sticks react, the rig reacts to the sticks. This just feels more. I mean, this is obviously going to feel more normal. And that could be it. Fat rigs, man. Fat rigs. Ooh! But there's definitely something going on. I like that, actually. I like it from the perspective of I hate when I can't feel the difference between stuff because it makes me feel like a bad pilot. But I also like it because maybe you really like the way that squished X geometry feels, and to have an option, that's awesome. So if for some reason you really just love the way squished X flies, the Fractal is your tiny whoop frame for sure. I don't. I like the way True X flies. It's much more balanced and there's much more authority on the pitch axis. In most cases, you can't tell because the PID loop just kind of fixes that. But if you're an extremely good, sensitive pilot, maybe you can tell the difference. I don't really buy it. I don't think anybody can. I think that the PID loop squashes all of that. But I've been wrong before. So this rig is also the reason why I think that the difference in flight time is down to all up weight, because you can see we're getting this is the same all up weight, and we're getting that same kind of run time of like 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So yeah, man. There's. Oh, I got one more battery on the charger, which is awesome, because I want to go back to. I really do want to go back to the Fractal frame to see if I can figure out what the hell this difference in feel is. One more battery fresh off the charger going onto the Fractal frame. Let's see if we can break this duct the rest of the way, I guess. Here we go. Back to the Fractal, no props in view. A little bit broken duct on the rear, but we'll be all right. We'll be all right. What the hell's going on with the voltage sensing? Hold on. Charger said this battery was good. Ah, there we go. That was weird. Okay, back to squished X. So what? This rig has way more up tilt. Way more up tilt. Ah! No, 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 don't break things. Stay away from the bar cart. Oh, really? Man, it really does not like to yaw when it's... Oh, god damn it. It really does not like to yaw when it's inverted or being pushed hard on the throttle. That's what makes the arms drop on this. Oh, really got to work to not hit the ground after those. There it goes again. Yeah. I guess that might be my biggest complaint about this, and that could totally be the, that could absolutely be this AIO. I doubt it, but it totally could be. I'll be interested to hear if there's any other Fractal 65 folks out there. Do you have that same problem? If it's... Shit. If it's related to the geometry or the spars blocking the thrust, then it's going to be a universal thing for everybody that's flying the Fractal 65 frame. Oh god, I went through the railing. It's really difficult to evaluate these two with how much more up tilt this rig has. That could be that could explain the difference in... Man, the extra up tilt does make it easier to rail around the room, though, I will say that. Again, no! God, I went into that bar cart at full bananas. Nothing wrong with this rig, man. Nothing wrong with this at all. This is a perfectly fun rig to fly. Ah, what was that? I didn't even see that. Yeah, absolutely nothing wrong with this build. I am proud for this to be the high quality expert build on Joshua's website. It flies great. The up tilt is super interesting. And yeah, absolutely not a single thing wrong with this right here. I'm not going to switch to it, but if you did this build, I think you'd be really happy with it. This is a really cool little build. There are no deal breakers. There's no reason not to try this out. If you're bored, I would not recommend this to be your first tiny whoop build. I think that the Mobula 6 ELRS with BT 2.0 and bigger motors makes a lot more sense. It's cheaper, it's easier, it's quicker, it's more durable, better power to weight ratio. If you've got one or two of those and you want to try something totally different, this is cool. This is very cool. I'm really happy that I did this because it's yeah, I'm learning a couple of things. I just learned something about extra up tilt. If I want to really rail around, I know that I need more up tilt than what I'm getting from my current builds, and I don't know what else I learned. But this is cool. This is a really cool little build. Is it the ultimate freestyle tiny whoop? No, it's not. Sorry, but it's not. This is a really cool tiny whoop. Is it freestyle? It's freestyle in the sense of it not having props, not having ducts in view. Is it freestyle from a durability perspective? Hell no. You know, we broke one of these ducts within 6 batteries, 7 batteries, 8 batteries. Replacing this duct is very simple though. 1, 2, 3 screws. Pull it off, drop the new one on, and we're back in business. But, I mean, how many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of crashes have you guys seen me have with these guys? And they just don't care. They just laugh. So, Ramdago says, would the Fractal fit 40 millimeter and 45 millimeter props without prop guards? Maybe? Maybe? Almost certainly? But who cares? No, wait, what's 40 millimeters? 40 millimeters in inches. 40 millimeters is 1.6 inches. No, it will not fit that big of a propeller, I don't think. No, it will not fit a 1.6 inch propeller. It will that will hit the camera. Yeah, 1.6 inch propeller will absolutely hit the camera. No questions asked. The 35 millimeter propellers, it would almost certainly clear. But fuck those things. They only have 3 and 4 blades. You want tri-blades. I'm sorry, you want bi-blades rather. Yes, you can cut 2 of the blades off the 4 blades, but that's silly. Don't do that. So, yeah. Also, if you want a rig that you can remove the ducts from and fly it outside with no ducts, this is absolutely kind of the only option for that. So, yeah, there are some very specific reasons to buy this rig. I will be tearing this rig down and using this AIO for a Fractal 75 with HD0. So, yeah, I don't think that I need to keep this. I don't think I need to fly any more batteries on this. It's not doing anything. Like, yeah, I've learned everything that I think I'm going to learn from it. I would rather get my HD0 1S back into a rig. And what I'm really excited about with this on the Fractal 75 frame is that I can have no ducts in view. Although the HD0 1S setup, it doesn't have any ducts in view anyway, because the camera is a little bit more narrow field of view. So that's not really an advantage of that. It will put the camera down lower. That's pretty cool. And I don't know what I'm going to do about battery mounting. I guess I'm going to need different TPU. I didn't think of that. God damn it. Yeah, we in it now. Well, you know. Ramdongo says, what? No, we got that. Ram also says maybe the 35 millimeter. Yeah, it'll fit 35 for sure. You guys got any questions? I tried to be as fair as possible. Was I fair, or am I still coming down on the Fractal stuff too hard? I'm trying to be super analytical and super fair, and like, I love that Yves seems like the coolest fucking guy ever, and I love that he makes this, and I hope that a bunch of people love the fact that it's squished X or no props in or no ducts in view, or you can take the ducts off and fly it outside. And I hope that a bunch of people are like, yeah, that's exactly what I want. Because if those are the things you want, then yeah, this is going to be an awesome little build for you. But it's not the build for me, and that's okay. I'm super picky and super spoiled and all these things. and I crash constantly, and I crash really hard all the time, right? So like I'm a very specific, probably like relatively fringe case. So me choosing to not fly a specific setup should not affect, you know, everyone. That should affect the people that also crash really hard. You know what I mean? And like kind of fly similar or build similar or whatever. So yeah, I love that this exists. It's very, very interesting. This right here, to be really honest, this is one of my main issues with it. I know that it's going to be hard on ducts. I know that it's going to be hard on motors, and that's going to drive me crazy. So yeah, for how hard and often I crash, this is not the rig for me. Here's the last thing I'll say. With it looking like we're only going to be getting like ICM gyros, hopefully BMI 270s, but it's looking like we're going to start to get more and more of these really noisy ICM gyros. This frame becomes even more interesting because I've proven that we can get a plenty good PID tune and filter tune with the ICM gyros by that We Bleed FPV powered Tiny Whoop that I just did the live auction for. But if you want even more flight performance than that, this frame will give that to you. Ramdango says, very moddable frame then. Someone should get an 03 on it. Pretty cool. That would be pretty slick. Dingle says, does that proper work well for those really stubborn props? Absolutely. The T-Motor prop popper is really like a required piece of gear at this point. Although I do have these 0.99 millimeter drill bits for sale. $10 with a Gangly Gang sticker, $15 with, or $10 with any one sticker, $15 with a sticker pack. This 0.99 millimeter drill bit is a better idea than this guy, because this guy, you have to always have it with you at all times. This drill bit, you just drill all your props out and then they fit properly and you're done. But this is amazing. So if you've got a rig with propellers that are jammed on it, this is well worth it, because this is way cheaper than replacing the motors, because you will absolutely bend the motor shafts getting those stubborn props off. So this thing is fantastic. But to be totally honest, a 0.99 millimeter drill bit is the answer. Every single time you buy a Tiny Whoop propeller, you run this drill bit down it really quick, and then you're good. It's the perfect inner diameter. It fits on there so it doesn't fall off, but you can just twist it and pull it off, and it's just like good to go. Freeloader says the Darwin has no VTX or receiver, but it has the MPU 6000, so that's good. But having to run an external VTX and receiver on a Tiny Whoop, that's going to be a huge weight penalty, and yeah, I don't think you should do that. Thanks for hanging, friends. This has been an eye-opening stream. I like this build a lot more than I thought that I would. That being said, I'm now going to take it apart. Anybody interested in this Fractal 65 frame? I'll sell it to you cheap. Message me. If you want this Fractal 65 frame, I'm not going to keep it. I would rather it go out into the world and get played with some more. That's what she said. Thanks for hanging, friends. Here comes the rest of the smoke crotch flying from the beginning of the stream. I'll see you guys, what's today, Sunday? I'll see you guys tomorrow night at 10 o'clock Eastern. I'm going to play some GT7. I would say that I'm going to live stream it, but I'm afraid that my voice is going to go. So I'm probably just going to play for me. I'm probably just going to go play with myself. Be good, friends. I'll see you tomorrow night at 10. Thanks for hanging. Head on over to CiottiFPV.com to support the difficult journey that is being a full-time FPV donkey. Hold on, I gotta hit this button. Later.